Hello folks, I'm LA Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets and we do it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves what happened today, what does it tell us about the coming ones. Do the show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube. It's on our channel LA Little. You can subscribe to it anytime content is pushed. You'll be notified. Trying to keep these shows a little bit lighter, not as long. I got some feedback. If you want to give me some feedback, I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to get your opinion on what's most valuable and what you want to see as a viewer. So just let me know. As far as these markets, what did they do today? Well, it was up again, about 0.5%. Russell really couldn't move. Everything else up about 0.5%. Gold down 1.3%, bonds down heavy 1.5%, silver got croaked as well, copper pretty much across the board outside of the equity markets. And that was with a flat dollar, so it was kind of an interesting mix. Sell off the commodities, buy the equities. Now why are they doing that? If we pop over to the equities and take a look at them, they're right here at the highs. They had that spike down, looked like they were going to go down. Now if you remember, once before we had this exact same setup. We had a range going on, right? We come to the top of the range, we pull back, but yet we don't come all the way back down again, and then we spike over it. Well, they've kind of got that same setup right now. And actually last night I drew it wrong. The ABCD structure was this way. But they've got that same setup where they came back, and twice now they've tried to pull it back and been unable to get any kind of traction to the downside. So sitting close to these swing point highs, 2 of them up there, and you actually have one on the weekly as well if I pull that over. So you'd be breaking multiple swing points, multiple time frames. Now usually that says pretty good probability you're going to go to 2 to 3 bars on the longest time frame, which would be the weekly. Well, when you did it back here, that's exactly what you got. You got 2 to 3 time frames on a weekly. Will you get it on this push if it happens? I don't know, because everything's failing. Almost everything is failing on the way up. Maybe this time is different, but I just don't see it. I don't see what the catalyst is. Unless China goes to the moon and takes us with them, I'm not sure what the catalyst is to take us that much higher from where we are. Maybe we break them, get over them, and then come back into them. But right now, they're nestled right up against it, trying to break out. If I look at the composite actually came within a couple points of that high, and that's a high volume high. Usually those things eventually get tested. They become like magnets, and we're right there. 50, 42, 14, 50, 40, 65. We close at 35, 7 points away. That's really nothing. This can be hit tomorrow easily. You had a bunch of earnings tonight. eBay was one of them that shined. Facebook didn't do so well. Qualcomm got hit. Texas Instruments got hammered. So it's going to be a mixed bag again tomorrow, and that's actually what you're going to see this whole earnings season. It's going to be a mixed bag. Companies are struggling to increase their revenues, increase their sales. Period. I mean, they're just struggling to do it. I mean, they're keeping their earnings up, but getting those sales up is a struggle, and most of them keep missing on the sales numbers. If we look at the NDX got a nice flyer high over that breakdown bar, going for the 2 highs up there, just like everything else, sitting at the highs. And the reason the Russell didn't move too much because the Russell is actually at the highs already. Still dealing with that breakdown bar, 112, so it's 1265.85. Still didn't get over it, 40 cents under it. So it continues, right? It continues. Good news, bad news, it's so-so news, and we're so dependent on what's happening elsewhere. And right now, Asia is on fire. We got one of the traders in the room. He just keeps knocking out the lights on this Asian trade, he's so far he's got the hot hand. He's been on each pullback and each jump higher. He keeps taking profits, keeps putting it back in. I'm fascinated to watch him. He's doing a great job of it. So right now, China's the story. And what's not the story is I just showed you all the charts of the indexes. Let me pop to the sectors. Now compare the sector charts with the index charts and tell me if you see a difference, right? And I'll just start right at the top of the list and just walk down them. Here's the IBB. Yeah, it's getting close to it. But you know what happened inside the IBB today? Amgen reported earnings. And what does it do? Gives it up, right? Goes, bangs on that high, doesn't have the volume, gets over underneath it. That's a failure at the highs. That wants to come back down. So, you know, that's not working, but the IBB did push up into that. Let me see, that low is 363.63, and it closes just over it. So it's still into the bar. So it gets into the bar, it's trying to hold in there. That's 2 days now, so you know that's a decent start, but it doesn't look like it's got the juice to get over it. ITB, right? This sector looked like it was gangbusters again, and that was after getting smoked the last earnings season. I can pull over the weekly chart to show you that. Here was the last earnings season. What do they do today? Well, earnings start to come out, they get hammered, right? And today it was Horton, DR Horton. Big volume coming back down. What's the chart look like though? Are these hanging the highs trying to get over them? No, they're not. IYT, you know, closest one was IBB. IYT way under the highs. The SOX can't even get over the breakdown bar yet. And Texas Instruments just got hit. It's going to hurt it tomorrow. XLB, a long way away from the highs. XLE, well, it's at the highs on this time frame, but you know, I mean, this is a long way from the highs if we look at the weekly. Do you catch the pattern here? Indexes are sitting at the highs, but all these sectors are not nearly as bullish as you see those indexes. The only one that's even close to the highs is the biotechs. Utilities not even close. Healthcare, even with the biotechs, is a bit away, and it's pretty close. And the XLY consumer still close. You got like 3 sectors near the highs. Everything else a ways from it, to varying degrees. How's this index up there? How are these indexes at the highs? Well, clearly the weighting structure in these sectors and the weighting structure in those indexes are not the same, right? Or they would look the same. So what's in the sectors, my guess is that the biggest weightings in each of the sectors are the ones that are more mixed, and then the ones that aren't that big a weighting are big enough weightings in the 500 to where, you know, it equals out, or you know, I don't know. I haven't looked inside the data. I'm trying to speculate as to why. Clearly it's the weighting structure. Point is, these indexers are being held up something beside what's inside these stocks and how they're reacting. And as we know, that's overseas. So at least that's what I keep saying. So if I pop over to the overseas markets, now I'm not going to have volumes on these, but we can kind of see what's happening if we go look at the CACs. So the CACs, remember, pulls down, gets over back under. That's a failure. But what does it do? It comes right back up on a doji bar today and tries to get back up in them. The DAX, which is the one that's showing the most weakness, doesn't look that way. DAX is going to try to work lower. If I go to the Hong Kong shares, here's the 8 shares in Hong Kong. Now they're not at highs. Shanghai made new highs again last night, and looks like their futures are going to try to open up tonight. So this isn't quite reflective of Shanghai. Shanghai keeps making new highs, but Hong Kong is struggling to make the new highs. So your top up there, 48.7 million on it, 28.031. You got 28.048. You go over it, back underneath it. I don't know what the volumes look like, but I don't think they were nearly as heavy. It looks like a failure trying to take place. Again, I'm thinking we're going to get some sort of a range trade develop. Shanghai keeps saying, forget it, we're going higher. So the question is if we do get some sort of consolidation, what does that mean for U.S. equities? And I wrote a piece, it was in Market Watch today, no longer masters of their own destiny, the U.S. equity markets. You might want to check this out. Actually, one of the members or subscribers, or maybe just a listener, I didn't pay attention exactly to who he was, but he did write an interesting question. He says, well, if we do get a range trade on the overseas exchanges, are we going to simply see that money rotate back to the U.S. markets? So in other words, if they go down, do we go up? We can't go up while they're going up. Is that because the money has been leaving here, going there? And we know from some of the ETF flows, the exchange traded fund flows and mutual fund flows, that yes, that's true. I don't know what that magnitude is, percentage-wise. I know that definitely we've had an outflow into Europe and somewhat into Shanghai and into China. Question is will it come back? When you're talking about those kind of money flows, right, usually those, well, I'm assuming that the majority of that money is kind of longer term swing trades, not, rapid fire week or two type trades. When you're moving, if you're a big player and you're moving a lot of money, you're not going to move it all at once. And you're certainly not going to move it all and then start moving it all right back. So if it takes you a month to get your line, it's going to take you another month to get it back out, or a month and a half. And so if that's the case, no, I don't know that money's going to rotate back here, because I think the money still thinks it's going to make more over there after the consolidation. And so no, I don't expect that to happen. It was a good question, but no, I don't think so. I don't think that's what's going to happen. And so when I look at these markets, if this range trade does develop, and it's already developed in Germany, it looks like it's trying to develop in the CACs. If it does develop here tonight in Hong Kong, in other words, another failure, and we start to come off in Hong Kong, then it really leaves just Shanghai, and we'll see where Shanghai actually wants to make a turn and come back in on a bigger retrace. If that's the case, I do think that is going to hurt the equity markets in the U.S. And so if I come back to that question, right, at the top of the show, which is, are these markets going to break out, given that they're hanging right there? And I'll go to the strongest one, which is the NASDAQ composite. Well, I do think it's going to test it. I don't know if it's going to break out, and even if it does, I don't think it's going to go all that far. That's my take. That's my thoughts for tonight. I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for joining me. Hey, tell a friend. Tell two. I'm LA. This is, and it was, your daily NeoTA wrap. Have yourself a great night. Take care, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.